to the Neurogenic Integration Podcast, where we explore the incredible potential of neurogenic tremoring beyond the basics. I'm Alex Greene.
And I am Sylvia Song-Shields. Together, we'll be diving into how this natural, innate process can be seen and applied across different professions, healing modalities, and in scientific research.
Whether you're a practitioner, a coach, a therapist, a body worker, or a researcher, this podcast is for you.
Join us as we uncover the science, share experiences, and explore how neurogenic integration is revolutionizing the way we approach stress, trauma, and well-being.
So take a breath, get comfortable, and let's dive in. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Alex Greene, and I'm excited to be sitting down in conversation with my friend and colleague Eunju Choi. And Eunju is based in Buford, Georgia, who is a TRE provider since 2015, right around the same time that I was getting into the TRE work, and has been a trainer since 2022, a certification trainer for TRE. And she's the founder of TRE Korea, which is the organization bringing TRE education and programming to Korea. And Eunju and I knew each other back in those early days when she had trained, because she was based in Chicago at that time. I was based in Madison, Wisconsin. So we had some good overlap during that time period. We've been together in Japan at a TRE conference in Koyasan, Japan, and have been maintained a good collegial connection and friendship over the years. And what I hoped to do today with interviewing Eunju is to hear a bit about her personal journey, both in terms of finding and becoming captivated by TRE as a methodology, and then to me, what's been a very impressive professional journey of bringing the training to the community in South Korea, and some other things as well, other parts of Eunju's ongoing professional journey that are interesting. So in any case, Eunju, really pleased to sit down and have this chance for a chat. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thanks for the invite, Alice. It's my pleasure and honor to be with you. And, as you said, we go back 10 years now. And we have known each other, and kind of singing each other's development in this world. And I am very pleased that, where you are and where I am, and we're able to just converse, how our journey has been today.
Very much so. Very much so. Well, let's maybe we could begin with just, how did you know about TRE? Take us back to, 2014, 15, how did you...
The very beginning, huh?
Very beginning, yeah, the very beginning, exactly.
Well, I was getting some body work. I had a nagging, a small pain on my left shoulder. And I thought, at the time, actually, I was a professional photographer. So I thought it was the heavy equipment that I was carrying around. But I realized that sometimes I'm working a lot and it doesn't hurt. And sometimes I'm not working, and then it's kind of this pinning kind of pain. And a friend of mine introduced me to a type of a body work. And I thought that was kind of interesting, that made sense. So I went to get the body work. And at the end of the body work, actually a few months later, something started to happen in my life that was kind of very unexpected and unpleasant. And I was really struggling. So I remember how I felt during I was getting the body work. I was like a total zen. I mean, I was floating and I was very peaceful, grounded. And so there was nothing that worried me during while I was getting the body work. So I called him back and said, hey, Everett, this is what's going on in my life and it's really uncomfortable for me. But I remember how I felt while I was getting your body work. So why don't you, just take me on and, start another round of a body work. And he introduced me to TRE then. He says, Eunju, I recently came across this modality. I think it will be helpful for you. Why don't you give it a try? You may not even need my body work once you actually try this modality. So I says okay. And in that first session, something just like kind of arose in me. It was specifically emotions start to came up, and Everett was having a really hard time, for me to connect with the emotion during those 10 sessions of a body work that I was getting. So I was very surprised that this hands-off modality, just lying down doing nothing, and then the body's gently tremoring, and then emotion comes up. I was like, I literally says like, holy shit, this is powerful. That was my first thing that came up in my mind.
Yeah.
And shortly after, there's a three images that kind of arose and then just passed by. And that was the image of Korea. So the first image was the high school seniors studying for college exam. I mean, like I used to be in school for like 12 hours just studying, and then I would go home, and then there is a tutor comes to home at like 11:30, and then, we would sleep for 5 hours and then go back to school. So the image of the student just sitting in class, trying to get a good grade in the college entrance exam. And then the second image was that mothers who are trying to support them, it's like they're all in. I mean, you probably know a little bit about Asian culture.
Yeah.
They're all in. The kid's success in school is the life goal. And
Right.
getting into a good
Yeah.
school is like, that is the life goal. So
Everything. Yeah.
so I just, the image of the mother struggling, putting all in to support this kid. And then
Yeah.
the third image was the dark alley of fathers going home late at night. And I specifically saw the image of kind of like a man, like the rear view. So the shoulders were stooped. There's nobody in the alley, very dark. And I realized at the moment, the mothers have kind of emotional bonding with the kids. They have a lot more interaction. The fathers are the ones who was actually supporting financially, make all things to happen, but they were
Right.
emotionally disconnected and they were very lonely. So that three image just went through my mind very quickly, unexpected.
This is during your first session or soon
Yes,
thereafter?
no,
During.
during tremoring.
Okay. Okay.
So the follow-up thought was like, wow, this work really neat in Korea. But as I said, I was a professional photographer,
Yeah.
and I go like, who would want to take a trauma releasing exercise from a photographer? I mean, Korea is kind of a society where, good school graduation diploma is important. Your
Right.
degree is important.
Yeah.
Having a good look and having a lot of money is important.
Yeah.
And at the time, I went like, well, I don't have any of those three. I don't have a PhD. I don't
Right.
have the look. Nonetheless, I signed up for the training just because I was interested. And there was a Dr. Berselli coming to medicine, which was drivable distance for me, right? In
Right.
like 2 to 3 months. And then the certification program was not that rigorous. I was like, I can do this. So I signed up. I became a provider with absolutely no kind of goal or agenda. I just did it because I could do it, right? But the image of the Korea it kind of, floated in my mind. And I think it was about maybe 2 or 3 years later, things start to happen that was unexpected. Literally, a red carpet just unrolled in front of me. At the beginning, it was just like, I'll just take a little break from my work. I had a full-time work as a photographer. And, I like to travel, so why don't I just take a couple of months and go to Korea, just talk to people. Anybody who's interested, well, I will teach them TRE and maybe they will like it and it will spread.
Sure.
It was really, it was, in retrospect, it was really naive, but it was a good start.
Well,
And
can I pause you for a second,
yeah.
just for kind of backstory? So at what age did you move from Korea to the United States?
Oh, I was almost 20. I was just a few months shy of becoming 20.
Okay. And so you had just kind of come out of that very intense period of that intense pressure, school pressure, academic pressure, but when you came to the United States, what was the story? Did you come for work, or what was the reason you moved?
No, it was a family immigration. My mom's family had been in U.S. for decades before. We are the last family to join them.
Right.
So it wasn't much difficult for us because all my families already had been established there. They, took us around, they showed me around, and they, told us like, oh, this is how you get used to it. So, yeah. And, when I actually met TRE, I was what, 2014? So I was like, I was well in the US. I came in 91, so I've been here for a long time.
Right. Yeah.
The image of the Korea, just kind of floating in my mind, it was quite
Yeah.
surprised because,
I see.
I was married, all my family, my direct family is in US.
Did you
And
before you went back on that trip where you began to just teach TRE, did you like in since you moved in 1991, like have you regularly gone back to Korea all that time, or had there been a big time
no,
period where you were not there?
no, I mean, since 91, probably up to 95, I went back and forth because my father was still in Korea. But
Right.
then my father finally moved to US and then there was no reason for me to go back. And I got married here and
Yeah.
I had no reason to go back. So I had not gone back for decade.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
where were we at?
Well, so you went there and you thought, I'll just teach it to people, maybe. And so, yeah. So how did that go?
And I met somebody who was very active in blogging. And she said, "Oh, well, I think I can organize a small workshop for you." So that sounds great. So that was my first workshop. The following January, I was in Nepal with Joan and Sai teaching TRE to Nepalese and then some professionals and social workers in Nepal.
Right.
In so 2016, that's when I went to Korea for the first time. And then
Okay.
2017, January and February, parts of February, I was in Nepal teaching TRE. So on the way back to US, actually, I stopped over in Korea, and that's when
Mm,
the first workshop in Korea was organized.
mm.
So I taught a class there. It was a full day workshop. Participants were very happy. And ever since then, actually, I've been going back and forth. Currently, I spend about half a year in Korea and half a year here, but make like 2 to 3 months here, and then I go to Korea for 2 to 3 months.
Gotcha.
So this year, earlier this year, I started the ninth cohort of the trainees,
Yeah.
and I have a 10th group waiting to go within a few weeks now.
Wonderful. Do you know how many people you've certified in Korea? Like how many? Yeah.
Well, I became a trainer, when was it? 2022. So before I became a trainer, I invited a trainer, certification trainers from overseas, and I worked with them. So I would organize
Yeah.
and I would translate the trainees' entire process because the trainers were not Korean and they spoke English.
Right.
So that was my kind of entry into more the deeper experiences of how to guide people in the process. But then once I became a trainer, now that's another whole new story, right? Just sitting back and translating, that was just really good.
Yeah.
But then, so my the group that I started is pretty recent. 2022 was the first group, and then every year that I have had a group, and some groups are very small, from six
Yeah.
to
Sure.
12.
Yeah.
And then this upcoming group is probably the biggest so far.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. And so when did you formally, so TRE Korea is a sort of a formal organization. When did you found that?
It was 2017.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
2016 October was when I went there first, right? And
Yeah.
then I started to translate Dr. Berselli's book in that same year, December, and it was published in 2017 June.
Hmm.
So right around that time that I established a TRE Korea with the formal introduction of the book.
Got it. Wonderful. Well, okay, so rewinding the tape just a little bit. So like come, because I've never heard this story that in your, I mean, I knew that that Everett introduced you to
Mm.
TRE, and obviously it was, but I'd never had heard the story that this sort of these three images that had come up during that first TRE session. So that's a powerful story. But I'm curious about just your early days in general. So you had a big experience, obviously, that opened up a lot for you. What about like the next few months or the first year or two when TRE was a new practice for you?
Mm.
What do you remember about what was the meaning? Yeah, what was the impact of TRE as a practice for you in those early stages?
It was really powerful. I mean, I was practicing yoga for years, and
Mm,
I was never flexible. Since my childhood, I was not flexible.
mm.
Well, actually, my mother was a yoga teacher way back in 1970s. So she used to drag me to yoga classes at 6 a.m. before I go to school. So despite the practices, and then in my middle age, I took up the practice on my own and I liked it a lot, but still I would not be flexible. But a couple of sessions of a TRE would make me much more flexible than like 7 years of a yoga. And I says like, whoa, I mean, seriously. And I went like, wow. So it needs to loosen up and open up from inside. And that's what the TRE has done for me. So when I don't feel good, I would tremor and it will powerfully open up, literally from like being stooped and, I can't get my head up. I shake for like 10, 15 minutes. I'm powerfully open and like, calm. So it was really, really cool experience at the beginning of it. Yeah.
Mm. Has your practice changed and evolved over time? Like, have there been chapters in your not your teaching journey, but yeah, on the personal side, your own nervous system, your own like what have there been stages of, or is it sort of like it immediately had an effect that in some ways it's similarly that same opening effect?
No
Um,
way. No way. So actually, my personal practice of a TRE, personal experience of a TRE, and my teaching journey, I think there are some similarities, which was a red carpet. Everything was so easy at the beginning.
mm,
And then at some point, they start to actually, my body was actually start to kind of like closing in. And I didn't know why.
mm.
But because of my earlier experiences, there is no doubt in my mind that TRE is, very powerful and effective. And I didn't understand why my body, despite, tremoring regularly, the body was actually closing in
I see.
for actually several years. And it was same thing with my teaching journey. At the beginning, it was so easy. I was like, oh, it's gotta be this easy. But then, I started to struggle. I wasn't getting enough students and people weren't interested. And that went on for several years. And
Mm,
then now it just started to opening back up again.
mm,
So I still do not know why my body was actually closing in and staying that way. And I struggled for several years. But because of it, I had to re-examine everything that I learned, polyvagal theories and all those theories. I had to experience, applying everything I know to the reality that I was experiencing and try to understand and how do I, kind of like a steer the direction into more opening rather than contracting. And that journey
mm.
has been very rewarding for me. Still, I'm not as open as I was at the very beginning of TRE journey. It's like a beginner's luck. I think I had a beginner's luck. And then
Mm.
it takes another 20 years of a meditation to actually achieve that state, right?
Right.
But it is really interesting. So that period of closing in, I still do not have a full understanding of it, but because of it, I was forced to go deeper, to re-examine. So I'm very happy about that. And that in that process actually came out of my interest in fascia
Mm.
because my body was doing a lot of a fascia unwinding.
Right.
And it kind of got me curious, like, from tremoring, actually moving tremoring into
Yeah.
like the stretching and unwinding. So I looked into, fascia work. And I was interested enough that actually I became a massage therapist. And in order to take a professional myofascial release work, I had to become some kind of a hands-on therapist.
Right.
So I kind of bite the bullet and went to the school for massage therapy. And so that's my current interest, along with, continuing. How do I understand what's happening in TRE work,
Yeah.
and how
Well,
can I
yeah.
use?
What if you, yeah, and that's in, as that's it's kind of a reverse. That's where I started, and then I went into TRE, but so I'm always interested in that intersection as well, of tremoring elicits the tremor, and sometimes we start to see more myofascial reorganization and uh, uh, movements that are more like stretches, twists, and things like that. And then in the manual therapy world, like John F. Barnes' work, but also in craniosacral therapy and in other traditions,
Mm-hmm.
there is sort of that's unwinding as a principle. But yeah, and you and I haven't caught up very much since you've kind of entered that phase of your journey of the massage therapy and the fascial work. So I would love to hear just like what is that adding to your understanding, either at the personal level or how you teach TRE. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
So the first of all, there is a common element why I like TRE and why I am drawn to this kind of natural way of releasing, unwinding in fascia, because
Right.
both of them are body is reorganizing itself.
Yeah.
So in hands-on work of myofascial release, we are adding our touch to the body, but it is a mild, soft, gentle, sustained touch, which actually triggers the unwinding of the fascia on its own. And that happens in TRE as well. We start with the tremoring response, but then the body is reorganizing itself into much more like open and fuller capacity, right? So there is a common element that I am pursuing. That's why I am interested. I'm not interested in like kind of like a hands-on manipulation, so to say, that I am just curious, like the body's capacity to make itself a little bit more available and more open to the world. And how it has influenced my TRE teaching is I became more gentle. What I get out of TRE, what has really changed me is respect for the life the body is. It has its own innate wisdom. It has the record of, something that is much, much greater than, our human understanding can unfold at this time. And we are tapping into it and watching it just kind of unfolding in front of our eyes. So that's what I like about TRE. That's why no matter what anybody else says, I said there's something very, very deep. And, but it's so simple and easy at the same time. It's complex, but so simple. When it's happening, it takes no effort, right?
Right. Right.
And same thing with the fascia unwinding. But I became more patient because fascia unwinding takes minimum of like 2 to 3 minutes of a hold, right? And
Right.
then the longer the better. The longer you hold and sustain the light pressure, it
Yeah.
gets deeper and release into deeper. So I was already interested in slowing down the tremors for several years. That I noticed that people start to actually feel things in much more like kind of a refined way when they don't feel when the tremors are strong and fast.
Right.
So I was already slowing down people, but with the myofascial work, that confirmed me why people were having the experience when the tremor was getting slower. And it
Right.
has to do with the sensory receptors and different sensory receptors and the amount of information flowing into the brain.
Yep.
And the brain is selecting what to process. So I think if the tremor is way too fast, it's way too much information going up there. And then most of the more subtle processes are not getting like caught on.
Yep.
So both of them were kind of like invitation for me to slow down and be more present. So that's the direction I am currently kind of exploring.
Are you doing a lot of combined? Are you doing when you're back in the United States or in Korea? Are you doing a lot of fascial work and hands-on work? Is that a active part of your week to
Yes,
week right now? Yeah.
yes. Yes. So I have several places that I have a hands-on just massage therapy work. And I have met some wonderful environment and mentors who actually encourages me, to develop the work that, in the style that I do. So I feel very, very lucky. So I became massage therapist last December. So this is actually quite new for me. So it's been 10 months. But when I'm in US, I'm in pretty much not, I mean, I can't say 8 hours of work, but I work like 6 days for 4 hours each day to work with people, with a manual therapy. Yep.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Cool. Um, yeah, well, so so it sounds like your next group in Korea is one of the so far the biggest. When does it launch?
Early November. I forget the date. It's November 8th or 9th or something like that.
And
And
so then will you be there for another 2, 3 months or something like that?
yeah, yeah. That trip will be a little bit shorter. It's about a month. But,
Yeah.
I'm teaching in person.
Yeah.
And I didn't even formally advertise the training yet. And I have 14 people fully committed to the entire training. And I try to kind of dissuade them. I was like, well, this is kind of hard. It's a lot of work. You sure you want to do it? And they're all committed. Also, since they were committed way early, actually, I'm doing an online class with them for 2 months, actually preparing their personal practices before we formally start. And that's been really rewarding because I start to see people changing about a month after. At the beginning, it's all about excitement of like, oh my God, body is tremoring and things are happening, right? But
Right.
the more subtle aspect of what does it mean to actually feel myself, more connected and listening to the body. I think that is the quality that people needs to develop. It's not about just tremoring everywhere in the body, but do you feel connected? Can you listen deeply into the body? When they start to actually have that experience, their practice completely change and they become more respectful to themselves, to their body's reaction. And I find it really moving. And that doesn't happen right away. It takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Coming back to the three images, the stressed
Mhm.
out kids, teenagers, the moms pouring everything into going all in with their children, the fathers carrying the burden, but more in isolation. You're sort of those pictures of modern Korean society. I'm curious
Mhm.
what's been the impact of your time in Korea? How have your students been receiving it? What's your feeling? Is TRE making a landing in the ways that you envisioned and hoped?
I think it has its own life and purpose, and it's spreading in the way that it needs to be.
Mm.
I mean, honestly, I thought it would go gangbuster in 2 to 3 years because
Uh-huh.
the modality is so simple, so powerful, right? It's effective.
Yeah.
So I thought, like, why wouldn't anybody want to not do it?
Mm.
And that's what I mean by I was naive. So, no, it didn't
Yeah.
work that way. Even though it's powerful, because it's powerful, some people are afraid. And
Mm.
some people think like this is something that's like, oh, like it's weird, right? It's kind of a
Mm.
new age-ish.
Yeah.
So it has been full 9 years now,
Mm. Yeah.
and it has been a lot slower than I anticipated. But I think those times were needed to kind of like the seeds being planted, right? And then it needs to develop a little root, a couple of roots, and then it grows and grows and grows. And I didn't see much above the ground for a long time, even though I was very lucky that there was enough people who wanted to learn more. So I was able to provide training for all these years. It's not at the number that I thought I would see, not in millions, but the providers that has become the providers, they are committed, and I have quite a few of them. They're very committed, and they are just quietly doing their work. So they are the ones who is going to carry this movement forward, and I feel very, very not only lucky, but I feel really solid that there are good providers who have developing their own practices. So we're ready to take off. We are ready to take off in a much faster way, but there are providers who can actually provide the service now.
Mm. In terms of your students there, is it largely professionals? Like, is this counselors and therapists? Is it body workers? Is it yoga teachers? Is it mothers? Is it who are you finding as being the audience taking the trainings there?
It's the mixture of everybody. What was interesting to me was there's like quite a few school teachers who came to training. And that's not a crowd that I was anticipating, but I have quite a few teachers from middle school to high school, couple of university professors. So that's a population that was surprising to me. And they are struggling. The teachers are struggling. The students are struggling. They said the students' behavior is becoming more and more difficult every year, and there are more traumatic symptoms that they are seeing. So they want to kind of unburden themselves, and then they want to be able to actually provide this service to students. So I have some school teachers who have implemented the TRE, but not in like a regular school curriculum, but as an extra, like a group activities or in classes for like as a part of the mindful exercises. So I find that really exciting that they are trying out, which format does it work, where can I introduce? And there are teachers who have provided like as a continuing education service of a TRE workshop to the current teacher groups. And that had been going on for about 3 years now. So it's spreading among the teachers. And the quite a few number of people are therapists. They have done all the talk therapy and brain spotting, internal family system. They have done all of it. And then they come to TRE and says like, now it feels complete. Now I know what's missing. And these practices bring me to be more humble and truly understanding what it means to respect others and, follow their process. So the bodily experience of TRE is actually what they have been talking about for decades, right? Follow the client, But TRE practice is actually coming, bringing them home to what that really means in practice. So I'm really happy about that. So there are quite a few therapists. That would be probably the biggest if you look at the percentage of it.
Breakdown, yeah.
And there are a few kind of few people who are just common people, but they are interested in somatic work. And I think like the somatic work has been kind of on the upfront and forefront of recent development. So they are like regular office workers, but they have done tons of dabbled into different somatic work and classes, and they come and find TRE. So as far as who joined the training program, I think that it's more so in as a professional work, therapists, school teachers. I have a couple of Oriental medicine doctors who has become a TRE provider, and I have 2 coming in to the new cohort. So I find that also very exciting because they're already in tune with the natural way of healing, right?
Yeah.
And they have done a lot of other work as well. And then they come to TRE and they really like the people can take care of themselves.
Yep.
And it's kind of like triggering those natural healing capacity of the body.
Mechanisms. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's cool. I'm thinking of, I've had a few doctor of Chinese medicine acupuncturists come through the training similar. And then I'm just thinking right now I have a student so I'm supporting a group in Iceland. And
Hmm.
there's one of the students he's originally from Greece, but is a physiotherapist in Iceland. And and he just wrote an email yesterday. We're getting ready for module 3 this weekend.
Hmm.
And he said, I've just been so excited about tremoring. He said, I'm thinking this is the Western version of, chi, the sort of the Eastern, models of chi. And, this is sort of a Western view of that. And I said, yeah, I think you could make that case.
Yeah.
That there's a connection there. So and even in some of my teaching, I supported some of the groups in China around going back around the time of the pandemic as that community was growing. And similarly, I always found it really interesting, sort of looking at. I think TRE is an interesting modality to look at from an east west
Mm-hmm.
perspective, because as far as Western modalities, it's maybe it's one of the ones that's closest towards creating those types of sensations and framework that is best more described through flows of energy and chi, and from a Chinese medicine model. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about that?
No, I think you're absolutely correct that, it's like we all know body heals itself, but I don't think most of us really know what that means. And
Right.
then once you activate this tremoring response, like that takes a completely, like whole new dimension of a body healing itself, right?
Yeah.
All of a
Yeah.
sudden, the chiropractic adjustment is happening on its own.
Yeah.
And it's more accurate and safer because it's not a kind of intervention coming from outside, but
Right.
it's happening within. And
Yeah.
the environment for the adjustment to happen is prepared by itself before that, large bone structures start to move.
Yeah.
So, and it's so much more effective when you can actually let go into this natural phenomenon. If you feel safe with it, you're completely unguarded and relaxed, and things are happening itself. And then if you actually tense up, it interrupts the process, right? It's less effective. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons of, like, when you let go into the life force, life flow, things are much more effective and more powerful, and it happens on its own. So that's my lesson. And TRE actually shows it in front of your eyes. It's like, how does it know the pelvis start to like move like this way and then rotate, and then all of a sudden like shoulders start to loosening up? And so for a lot of people, it's like, oh, the body is really talking to each other and connected and opening up itself. So in many different ways, structurally, and as you said, energetically, I think the more you practice TRE, the more you pay attention to it, that you develop the senses, interoception, exteroception, and proprioception, all of it, including energy field. I think you start to actually sense more and more
Yeah.
accurately.
I totally agree. Yeah. Cool. Well, it's so interesting to hear about how the work and how the vision began, and how it's and I also didn't really know that piece around, rolled out the red carpet, sort of that beginner's experience, and then a period of both at the personal level and professional level of, kind of having to, kind of like being tested a little bit,
Oh, yes.
because things were not falling into place the same way. But then coming through the other side and seeing the benefits of having stayed the course. So
Yeah, and
that's
also
very
that
cool to hear about.
struggling period was enriching and deepening.
Yeah.
My understanding, my, the internal experiences. I'm still in it, but I'm excited about it because now I know what it means. It's not all like easy flowing days are the happy days. That You
Right.
know, I can stay in the course when I'm struggling. And actually, there is much more wealth of experiences to develop, and I am very happy about it. So I want to tell you one thing that was also surprising, you know, working in TRE.
Yeah, please do.
It's kind of a fun piece. So when I said I was going to Korea, a lot of my colleagues in U.S. and Western world, you know, immediately asked me, "Oh my God, like, are you going to have a chance to work with the North Koreans?" And I said, it's like, no, I've never met a North Korean person in my life. I've never seen them. Like, no, it's like, we don't really talk to each other.
Sure, sure.
And it was not in my dream. But then fast forward 2 years ago, a counseling center that is funded by government contacted me saying that we would like to provide TRE classes to North Korean refugees who lives in South Korea.
I see. Interesting. Yep.
And I was like, what? So we went and taught,
Mm.
and there were people, they nobody was sleeping in that class. I mean, I mean, like, because of their experiences and their health conditions,
Sure.
everybody had a difficult sleeping,
Okay.
to the level that, you know, the doctor could not prescribe any more sleeping pills. It's like,
Yeah.
this is the maximum dose I can give you anymore. And they
I
could
see.
not sleeping. So
Yeah.
after one theory class, actually they slept. They
Yeah.
slept well.
Yeah.
So they became like, no, it can't be. You know, it can't be just this one class that put me to sleep. But 3 or 4 days later, now this not being able to sleep, you know, start to surface back. And out of curiosity, you know, one person says, you know, I was like, I tried. I looked up the video and I tried, and I was just sleeping well again for several days.
Mm.
So they start to actually see the result and believe in it.
Right.
And there was like some person who comes home for lunch during work, and then they would tremor. And she said, I'm emotionally more stable. I'm more clear. I was used to be really tired and I couldn't work afternoon very well, but now I'm clear. I have more energy. So that was really pleasant. And then the organization calls me back and says, you know, we would like to offer that again. So this time, actually, I did two different groups of 4-week classes in September.
Mm.
So one was just the North Korean refugees.
Mm.
Then the another group is actually the people who escaped North Korea, got caught, sent back, and escaped again.
I see.
So there's
Wow.
a whole different group of
Right.
those people, and I taught classes, 4-week classes to these two groups. And
Yeah.
so, like, so you guys were right. It's like, can you teach? Are you going to have an impact to North Korean refugees? And
Right.
yes, unknowingly, that is
Yeah.
making a difference in their community. At the end of the 4-week class, both classes, people were saying, it's like, whoa, I didn't believe it first. We really like it. We are seeing the result. This is way too short. We want it to be longer. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
organization is going to try to have a longer classes next year.
Oh, that is so wonderful to hear about, Unju. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think the humanitarian application of TRE is so under, I mean, it's done. People are doing it in,
Hmm.
all over. But the potential of it is huge. On for me, like let's see, in 2 weeks. So I'm hopeful. So Steve Haynes, I know, did some work with TRE in Ukraine near the beginning of the
Yeah.
war, and maybe some others have as well. Um, but I got invited to present TRE to a big online conference for It's all for therapists in Ukraine. So this will
Mm.
be in a couple weekends. We did sort of a very short version, very impromptu, a couple weeks ago, and they really found it interesting. So they wanted more. So they wanted to get sort of a fuller piece because they could easily imagine the applicability to it. So like that's an area that I hope will be useful. Something you'll get a kick out of. You and I, we texted a few months back about working with nuns and missionaries and whatnot. So came back about 2 weeks ago from Ireland, and I was working with a group of missionary nuns, part of an organization called the Missionary Sisters of the Holy Rosary. That's their
Mhm.
order. It's a Catholic order. Um, and one thing that's funny is, so the woman, this is the leadership team for an organization that supports mission work throughout Africa.
Mhm.
And Sister Franca is sort of the leader. So this is what you'll think is funny. She learned TRE from Dr. Pacelli, Dave,
Mhm.
in 2001 because he
Wow.
came and he presented to their community in Ireland in 2001. And this is the amazing part, she has been tremoring twice per day, virtually every day since 2001.
What?
So I thought, wow, here we have somebody, a case study,
Wow.
24 years of twice daily. That to me,
Mm.
that's the record. I haven't heard anybody else with a more long-term practice
Wow.
than this woman. But she credits TRE with just so much of giving her all kinds of capacity for the work, and she's in a very stressful
Mm.
position. Each of these women are. They're, we think of nuns as sort of, I mean, some nuns are living sort of a cloistered
Mm.
experience, but these nuns are very, very engaged,
Mm.
and both practically with people and also administratively, they have lots. It's very, very
Wow.
engaged work, and they loved it. And so their goal and their organization is, okay. They learned, these six women learned, and then the next layer is,
Mhm.
now can they start to propagate it through some of the local communities in Cameroon and Kenya, Nigeria, the parts of South Africa, the places where they have
Wow.
their communities. Um, but I think but I, no, I hadn't heard your piece with the North Korean refugees, but I imagine that's extremely impactful for them, and I look forward to
Yeah.
hearing more about. I hope that program continues.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, the people were asking that they want a longer classes. I was like, oh, 4 weeks, we're just barely beginning. We want like 2 months and 3 months.
Right.
So their demand is kind of make the class to continue much easier. So the person who was in charge of it, he was going to recommend to the organization to have a longer classes next year. So I am very hopeful. And the thing is, the person who's organizing this, he is practicing himself.
Great.
I think
Yeah.
that is the thing,
Yeah.
because he practices himself, he knows the power and he can
Right.
tell people with a confidence
Yep.
that, same thing with the nun that you mentioned. I think it's the power of the personal practice that they
Yeah.
know this work by their body and
Yep.
by their soul.
Yep.
That way, that's why, when they explain to other people, there is a lot of power. There's authentic power.
Yeah.
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 And the
Yeah.
other interesting places that I have gone recently is it was also national organization, nationally funded organization that works with the teenagers, children and teenagers who are socially unadaptable, having really, struggling to adapt to the society.
Mm.
So there is a kind of a live-in facility. They check in for a week or 3-week program, or sometimes a little bit longer. And social workers and therapists who actually work with these children, I was invited to that organization. And it was 2-day TRE intensive or workshop for their therapist. And I had just over 30 people, 33 people signed up. And it's 2 full days.
This is in the United States or in Korea?
Well, that's in Korea.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So it's making way into this national organizations and therapist world. And
Great.
another place that I was invited that was interested in is a military hospital. Specifically, they focused on like a mental health, specialty military hospital, and their staff was interested. So I think it was back in April, I went and present for 3 hours to all the core members and the medical staff. So they have experienced theory, and I am looking forward to be invited back and see if we can make any further kind of in the military culture. But I think it's kind of difficult. It's a very like structured, and not only structured, but it's what do you call them? It takes a while for them to actually accept something new and put it into their program. So as I thought, it's like I thought TRE would be just booming in Korea in 2 to 3 years. That was not the reality. And so I take the same approach that, just being patient, stay the course, just keep going back, keep doing the work. So these are the areas that I have been invited, and I am looking forward to kind of that it will continue to spread that way.
Yeah, very cool. Well, good. Well, any closing comments or words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Anybody who's interested, I say stay the course. Be interested in your own experience. Continue to be gentle to yourself. Listen deeply. The body speaks in a way that is very soft and subtle. And if you're loud in your head, you'll miss it. So respect, what your body's saying, and, explore in different ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Eunju, thank you so much for taking time.
Well, thanks for the invitation. I enjoyed the conversation and hope to catch up with you some other time as well.
Cool.
That's it for today's episode. We hope you found inspiration and new insights into the power of neurogenic journaling.
If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. It really helps us reach more people interested in this transformative work.
And if you want to dive deeper, connect with us. Or to learn more about our sessions, courses, and upcoming trainings, head over to neurogenicintegration.com.